What's up, everyone? It's Ruby here. Bringing you guys another video. So, today, I've been debating about whether or not to do a video about this. Because I always love keeping YouTube, Twitch, everything else separate. Keep it as a place to escape everything. And for a while, I was going to just let this one slide again. Let it go. Don't address it. There's no need to, because everyone else is already doing so. And I want to keep this vibe going, you know? But then it's just like, a lot of these people that are being called out were my friends. People that I knew. People that I know. Not know in person, but I've communicated with. I've been in their streams. I've donated to them. I've subscribed to them. I have done a whole lot to support them. And it's really sad. So for those of you who don't know, okay, basically what's going on right now is that a lot, over 38 streamers are being called out for bad things. Whether they are cheaters, more scumbags, shall we say. I don't really want to say the word, but you know, those types of people. And it's really shocking. I mean, for some people, it's not necessarily as shocking, but still, like, these are people that I've talked with, people that I've been in voice chats with, people that I have at some point respected, even. People that I thought were good people, or one of the good ones, and it turns out they're not. Now, I always like to preach forgiveness, because I do believe that people deserve a redemption. People deserve a second chance. People deserve to learn from their actions. People deserve to move on. People deserve to be forgiven. But what happens when someone does something that is seemingly unforgivable? Do you still forgive them? Do you still hold up to that? What do you do? Especially when it's people you know. Especially when it involves people you know. Do you still forgive them? And I think that's a really hard question to answer. You know, forgiving does not mean that you forget. Forgiving does not mean that you're okay with what they did. Forgiving does not mean that what they did wasn't wrong. In fact, forgiving is more so being the better person. Trusting that they are working to become a better person. I've forgiven a lot of people in my days. People that used to bully me. People that used to make me feel terrible. People that manipulated me, made me think a certain way, made me do certain things that I did not want to do. And no, I've never been assaulted like that. But I have been manipulated. I've been pressured into doing things that I never wanted to do. Because, you know, we were young, and I felt like I had pride, you know. Still do. I still have pride. But I had pride. And people, they knew that I was never going to, like, turn it down. And they tested that. They tested it a lot. And they made me do things that I just didn't want to do. Made me feel uncomfortable. Made me not like it at all. And it started as something fun. Started as just games. And it turned into something almost cruel. I've done that. I've done it where it started out just as a game. It was just supposed to be something fun, and it turned into something that I didn't realize it turned into. And then I learned, and I said I apologized, because I just, from a lot of the times this stuff does just start out as just a game, especially when you're young. It starts out as just a game, it's just a game, it's just fun. It's fun, right? And then at some point you're just like, oh, guess it wasn't fun. And I've done things that I'm not proud of. I've said things that I'm not proud of. I've sometimes, I'll admit, I've sometimes been the manipulator. Especially when you're young, a lot of times it's really tempting, because you're going to get out of this situation if you just do this, if you just say these things. And I've learned from that. I've learned that that's wrong, that you shouldn't do that. That manipulating circumstances doesn't make anything better. It just delays the inevitable. And it doesn't feel good as well. I still need to learn that lying doesn't make anything better. But sometimes, like, when you're in the moment, you're just like, I can just get out of this if I just do these certain things. And it's really hard. But what's harder is taking it so far, manipulating someone so far into making them feel so bad about something that they never really did. And I've been in situations where I've been manipulated, and it feels terrible once you realize, because a lot of times when you're in it, you don't realize that you're being manipulated until it's too late. A lot of the times you don't anyways. Or if you do realize, it's just like, you just feel like it's easier that way, It's just going to be easier if I say yes and I just comply and I just, I'll just slip on by. Like, it'll just be easier. And sometimes you can make decisions in the split second that you'll end up regretting later on. Sometimes you take a drink that you probably shouldn't have. Sometimes you are not thinking straight. You're drunk. Maybe you're not drunk, but maybe you're a little bit tipsy. Maybe you think in the moment that this is good. They're saying yes, even. Maybe you come to some sort of agreement that, we're going to go this far and we're not going to go any further. But maybe in the moment you're just like, I'm really into this. I want to push it further. She already agreed to go this far. Maybe she'll agree to go further. And believe me, it's not just the men. Right now, a lot of the guys are getting called out for being terrible people. But there's a lot of women that have done and will do the same things. It's a lot easier to believe the woman over the man. And unfortunately, we live in that society in which that is the case. I can tell you right now, the people that have manipulated me, the people that made me feel the way I felt, the people that have been utter trash to me, are all women. Every single one of my manipulators are women. Every single one who has treated me terribly, every single one that has insulted me, that has made me feel inferior, that have made me feel like utter trash, are all women. Every single one of them. That's why I don't really buy into the believe all women. Because yes, a lot of women, it's hard. You should believe the victim. to a degree. But women are just as good as manipulating as men are. They're just as good at being toxic, being abusive, being utter trash when they want to be. I know. Because every single time, for me, when I've been abused, when I've been used, when I've been lied to, when I've been manipulated into believing a certain thing, into thinking a certain way, it has been women. It's why I prefer to be friends with guys most of the time. You know, it might be really... not, mind you, as society goes, it's not all women. It's not all men. It's not all of a particular person. You can't just generalize an entire group. There's consistencies. But then there's the ones that aren't consistent with the norm. There are some really great guys that I know. There's some really great women that I know. Friends that I've learned to really love and feel good with. There's relations that I don't really talk about, that kind of like drifted away. And they weren't really relations. It seemed like it was going to be more at the time, but it wasn't. And so I just moved on. That's why I never say I've never been with anyone, because I really haven't. It's never really been that official to that degree. There's people that I thought that I could trust and thought it was going to go somewhere more, but it didn't end up working out because they were liars. I have learned that I really want to have a relationship with people. But I've also learned that sometimes it's better just to not. And, past experiences shouldn't deem future choices. You should learn from your mistakes, yes. But you shouldn't have trust issues. Naturally you will, because you don't want to have the same mistakes, but you should understand that not everyone is like that. I know it can be hard to remember that, but just keep that in mind, that not everyone is like that. Not everyone are manipulators, not everyone are liars. Everyone has moments where they lie, but not everyone is like that. And both parties should have a degree of responsibility, but there's also the degree that you just can't control, and that's that I'm sorry for. If you were forced into doing something that you didn't want to do, maybe at the time, the person who did it to you did actually think that you were okay with it. And there's no excuse either way, but I think as victims, we should still have some sort of degree of responsibility, because I know that the situations that I've been in, it wasn't just like a one-way street where the person completely manipulated me. I had involvements as well. I did things that could have been avoided. And no, you should not blame the victim, but I'm just saying in the future, you should be mindful of what you're doing, what you're saying, how it can be twisted, and you should be able to do certain things without people assuming that it's for a certain reason, of course. But at the same time, like, I know that I often have escalated the situation more than I should have. I remained silent for way too long, thinking that maybe it'll just get better. They'll learn. They'll stop doing whatever they're doing. They'll stop making me feel like. And at some point you start actually blaming yourself. Like, maybe it's me because it's happened so many times. So many people have said this about me. Maybe it is true. And that's difficult to process. It's difficult to stop thinking that. Because, when you always say, you look at the common denominator. If the common denominator is you, it doesn't feel so good. And you're like, well, if it's me, what can I even do to change? Because, I've tried changing. I've tried being different, and then it just ends up leading to the same situation. And, at this moment, I'm doing fine. I'm in a place where I have realized a lot of things. I've learned a lot of things. I have become satisfied with myself, happy with myself. And, maybe a lot of these stories might be fake, false, completely made up. I know the ones that are true, and that's disappointing, especially since that the ones that I know are true are people that I knew really well, or at least more than most people would on the internet. It's really disappointing because they were once a friend. They were once someone I respected, and now they're not. And again, the question is, will there ever be a point where you forgive someone? How many times should you forgive someone before you don't? I always look back at the things that I've done, and I hope that people would forgive me if they ever came up, because I have learned and moved on from them. That's why I don't talk about them. I mean that, and also I don't really want to put a spotlight to them. So that's why I find it hard not to forgive people, is because I would want them to do the same for me. I had someone in 6th grade. Throughout my entire elementary school experience, there was someone that treated me terribly. They would talk behind my back. They would insult me. I would know. I don't know if they knew that I know, or knew that I knew, but I knew. And they just treated me so badly. And I just came to a point where I figured, okay, we're not going to get anywhere. It's been 6 years. It's not going to change. The last day of elementary school, we're sitting in my 6th grade classroom. And we're just sitting there. We're going to be moving on. Probably not going to see each other again. And the girl hugs me. And she's crying. And she says she's sorry for the way that she treated me. And you know what I say? I say, it's okay. I forgive you. I could have been like, well, you were a insert insult for doing so, and I, screw you. But I didn't. I said, it's okay. I forgive you. It also made me cry as well. Even as kids, we go through experiences. We have our bullies. We have the people that treated us like garbage. And, she never really went far anyways with it. Like, it was mostly just like verbal stuff, but it was still terrible. But at the same time, if I can't forgive someone for doing or saying certain things, then can I expect others to forgive me for what I've done, for what I've said? And the answer for me most of the time is no. If I choose to not forgive someone, I can't expect them to forgive me. So yes, a lot of the times I do end up forgiving people. I end up empathizing with them. I was like, well, maybe you should actually look at the bigger picture. And some of these guys that are being called out for stuff that happened a long time ago. Maybe they have grown. Maybe they have learned. On the internet, you can't learn and you can't move on. You can't be forgiven, no matter what you've done. And a lot of people would debate, is that wrong? Is that right? Should you forgive someone? Is it bad to forgive them? Are you sympathize? What I would say to that is, again, forgiveness does not mean you're okay with it. Forgiveness does not mean that you should forget about it. Forgiveness is not being okay with the circumstances that happened. It's having the ability to say, you know what? I forgive you. I'll give you a second chance. Not even a second chance, really. You don't have to give them the second chance. You say, you can even just say, you know what? I forgive you. I just want to move on. I don't want to have anything to do with you, but I forgive you. And just move on. A lot of people, when they say they forgive you, though, they'll still bring it up. I have that happen to me, where I said I'm sorry, and they forgave me, but they keep bringing it up over and over and over and over again, and it's like, well, I'm wondering if you really forgive me. And I hope that I'm the person that's like, if I forgive you, I forgive you. Holding people accountable, making sure they don't keep doing what they're doing, what they've done before, is important as well. You can forgive someone, but still hold them accountable for future events. Like, if you keep doing it over and over again, and you keep saying I'm sorry, like, at some point I'm not going to be like at some point you do run out of chances. And I'm not saying that any of the victims that suffered from their perpetrator's hands in some sort of way should ever forgive that person. And I understand if they don't. I completely understand. But what I'm saying is that you know what? These guys, they're going to live with what they did for the rest of their lives. They are. No matter how they feel about it, they're going to live with it. Because there's always going to be people that don't let them move on. Is it right? I don't know. I mean, they did do things that are utterly heinous. But for me, I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's my fault. But I also find it important to do so. If I am to believe that these victims are telling the truth, which I'm sure they are, I should also believe that the people that say that they're going to work to be better, that they're going to work to change, that say that they're going to work and they're sorry, I should believe them too. I shouldn't necessarily associate with them and work with them and everything, but I should believe them. If they say that they're going to do better, they're going to learn from this, that they're going to prosper from this, I should believe them. Even if they're just saying it to, like, diffuse the situation and not make it so bad, I should still believe them. Because I believe that people can change. I don't believe that they should necessarily be able to move on from what they did, because what they did was a crime. And people are saying, they should go to jail, they should be locked up, whatever. They're probably not going to be. Let's be honest, okay? They're probably not going to be. Because there is evidence that probably doesn't exist anymore that simply, like, you can't just put someone in jail for hearsay. What you can do, instead of sending them to jail, is hold them accountable. Or just, like, completely ignore them. But hold them accountable. Say, okay, well, in order to repent, maybe they need to do X, Y, Z. But I think once they've repented, once they're going to suffer the consequences no matter what. But once they have, I think there has to be a way to just move on from that. Whatever that means, whatever that is, I think everyone deserves their closure. The victims, even the perpetrators. Like, yes, they're probably going to be suffering a lot longer than anyone else. Because they're going to be condemned, they're going to be hated, they're going to be... there's going to be people that absolutely will never forgive them. And that's okay. That's okay. If you don't forgive them, that's okay. But, but people do still have the opportunity to change. What's the point of prison if no one's ever going to change? What's the point of jail if no one's ever going to change? People do change in prison. People do change in jail. And I have seen videos, seen people where that is the truth. That they have changed in jail. They learned. They've paid the consequences of their actions, and they're still suffering. They're still paying for their actions. And they've been to prison. They did their time. They've learned. They're trying to be better people. And I believe that people can do that. Now, I believe if the actions keep persisting and keep happening, then they should be punished for every single time that they do something that is wrong like that. But if it's a one-time thing, if it truly is a one-time thing, they should be punished for what they did. And, it's not necessarily going to be like a short thing that just happens. And, people are saying that they should be fired, that they should be banned, that they should blah, blah, blah. I think that's up to Twitch. I don't blame Twitch if they don't get involved, because a lot of it is hearsay, and a lot of it is like you have to pick a side, and if they're wrong, then they can suffer the consequences for that. If they were actually lies, then Twitch can actually be sued. If they had banned or not banned, but if they had to remove someone from their partnership, or if they if they banned someone for something they never did, there can be consequences for that. So I understand if Twitch just wants to stay out of it. It really should be handled legally. Whether or not that's actually going to happen, who knows? If someone truly did a crime, they should be judged, they should be tried. Maybe there's not enough evidence to convict them. And that doesn't mean that they were necessarily innocent. It just means that there isn't enough to send them to jail. And there's other ways that people can suffer the consequences from than just going to jail, by the way. And I think that should be understood as well. And they will. I mean, I know some people have already been fired from their jobs. Keep in mind that this just happened a few days ago. Okay, it's going to be a little bit It's going to take a little while before we actually see what actually happens to these people. Okay? You can't expect someone to just respond in an hour. Like, Twitch says that they're going to investigate the situation, and I believe that they will, because obviously it reflects on them. What they do with that investigation, they're probably going to get law enforcement involved. There's probably going to be actually legal consequences. They're going to try to get the full picture, and based on that, the actions will be dealt with. Maybe they'll remove them from the partnership program, whatever. Who knows? But yeah. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out, guys. It's been a blast.